Hello, Feuzion. My name is Alex Fuse, the host of Fusion News, and we have another big guest for you on today's show, Ken Rosenthal. He's a senior baseball writer for The Athletics, sideline reporter for Fox Sports, and also MLB Network contributor. Ken, I want to welcome you on the show today, and thank you again for joining me. And let's start it off for today's show. How serious is Mookie Betts' injury, and should Red Sox fans be nervous about this injury?
Alex, I actually don't know the answer to that. And it sounds like they're not nervous, but of course they're not going to admit if they are nervous. But what Alex Cora told reporters yesterday is that he expects Betts to DH tomorrow, and if not, then they can just take their time with him. It's not as if the division title is at stake. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about it too much. I don't know if he's going to make a big-time appearance tomorrow or even in this series, because if there's any doubt, they will take their time.
How important is this wild card game where it's being played at for the New York Yankees?
It's important. You'd always rather be at home. And the Oakland Coliseum, even though on a regular basis fans don't attend games in big numbers, for a playoff game, I'm sure they would be there. And it's kind of an electric atmosphere, even when there's a crowd of 10,000. Their fans are very passionate. Now, that said, the better team is going to win this game most likely, or at least the more fortunate team, because there is luck involved sometimes in a one-game playoff. But rather than go all the way across the country, I'm sure the Yankees would prefer to stay home in New York.
Definitely. Now, Ken, if you're the Athletics, you're not worried about the wild card. You're more worried about the division right now. So let's say the Astros lose the division to the Athletics, and the Astros have to play the Yankees, and then the Yankees have to go to Houston. And now they're in that one-game wild card where they were a couple years ago, back in 2015. It did not end well for the Yankees. So if you're the Yankees in that position, pitching in Houston, who's on the mound?
Well, first of all, I'm not that worried about this scenario. And, Alex, it's always fun to say, okay, this could happen and that could happen. But I'm looking now at the playoff odds for the Oakland A's to win the division, and it's at 0.4%. So they're 4.5 games out with 12 to play. The Astros would have to collapse, and I don't see that happening. But I think the bigger question, and the one you're posing here, is who should the Yankees start in that game? And I guess it will depend sort of how the rest of the season plays out. But if it were me, I actually might start Happ. He's been the most reliable of their pitchers. I'd want to know his splits against Oakland versus Severino's, etc., and Tanaka for that matter. But I would be tempted to go Happ. I know it's a little bit different because he's a July acquisition and not a guy who's been there, like Severino, a homegrown pitcher, and Tanaka, who they signed out of Japan. But I just almost trust Happ the most.
What about CC Sabathia?
Not for the first game, not for the wild card game.
Okay.
In fact, there's some question right now whether he'd even be the number 4 ahead of Lance Lynn, though I think ultimately he would be in the Yankees if they played a game 4 in ALCS, because you only need 3 starters for the first series. But if they played a game 4, got to that in the ALCS, they could start CC, back him up with the rest of their bullpen, including Lance Lynn.
Now, Ken, we started off the show talking about the Red Sox injuries, and let's talk about the Yankees injuries quickly. They really suffered the second half of the season with injuries with Didi Gregorius, Gary Sanchez, Aaron Judge, and Aroldis Chapman. Chapman and Judge are supposedly coming back very soon, right?
Correct. And we could see Judge this series as a hitter. He's been activated, but only as a pinch runner and defensive replacement. Now, even though he's about to come back, it doesn't mean he's going to be right away. And in fact, I wrote about this today. Justin Turner, the Dodgers, suffered a similar injury in spring training. It took him 2 months to get back as a hitter, like Judge, and then another month before he really got going. So who knows what to expect. Chapman, too, is progressing. They do expect him to be back as well.
Ken, there's about 2 weeks left of the regular season in baseball. So we have some top teams that are going to make the playoffs. The Red Sox, the Astros, hopefully the Yankees. The Yankees will make it. The Athletics, and, of course, the whole National League side. Which team will make the biggest impact in the playoffs this year for the MLB?
Well, it's impossible to know, Alex. My predictions are always wrong. So I have to give you that caveat. The team I think is best positioned is Houston. Now, does that mean they will go ahead and win the whole thing? Absolutely not. Cleveland, I thought, was in great position last year. They lose in the first round to the Yankees. So, as Billy Beane once said, the playoffs are a crapshoot. That is a fair statement. And you don't know who is going to be hot and what things might occur and who will be healthy until we actually get into the thing. And then we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to some fan questions from Facebook. Nick LeBlanc wants to ask, what can the Red Sox do to fix their bullpen prior to the postseason?
Well, it's not like they can go out and get another player. Mm-hmm. That's not going to happen at this point. And what they have done is kind of groomed Stephen Wright for a late inning role. And it's interesting because you wouldn't think a knuckleballer would fit in that role due to the difficulty of catching him, for one thing. But they believe each of their three catchers is eminently qualified to catch a knuckleballer. In fact, each is quite good at it. So that's not a concern for them. He's been one option. Ideally, Kelly would get going. They're going to get Barnes back, and he'll hopefully be a part of their late inning mix as well. But as for what is going on with them, is it a question? Yes. Can Nathan Eovaldo help? Yes, he can help too. But this is something that's lingering over them right now.
The next fan question was from Ben Cruz, and we basically already answered this one, but what are your ALDS predictions? I'm going to try to change this up. Between the Athletics and the Yankees, let's say those are the two teams that make the wild card. Which team would the Red Sox not want to face more?
That's actually a good question because the A's, should they win this game, are a hot team. They're kind of a fearless team with nothing to lose, and they've got this crazy bullpen in which they can basically use 5 or 6 guys and feel good about it. So I'm tempted to say the A's, but of course the Yankees are the bigger threat. Mm-hmm. And while the A's offense is quite good, the Yankees offense probably not as good right now, quite frankly. But the Yankees have been there, the A's have not, so I would assume still I'd rather play the A's.
Mm-hmm. Ken, before we wrap up this interview, let's do some quick fast round questions. Favorite ballpark you love to go to?
AT&T in San Francisco, and I still say Camden in Baltimore. I kind of worked there for many years, so I'm partial to that one.
All right. Favorite story you ever wrote?
Oh, I would say the night Cal Ripken broke the consecutive game streak record, and it appeared on the front page of the Baltimore Sun the next day. I don't know that it was the best thing I've ever written, but the moment was the biggest, and I did okay.
Definitely. Go-to restaurant on the road?
Whole Foods. I'm not a very exciting person, Alex.
What's your go-to energy drink or snack during the trade deadline?
Oh, I like Cliff Bars.
Okay.
But I'm not much of a – I don't drink coffee. People are always surprised by that. I try not to drink too much soda, but I'll sneak one in now and then. Favorite
play-by-play announcer to see on the road?
Oh, just as a friend?
Yeah.
Luke Shamby's a good friend of mine. I would say him. Let's see who else. Brian Anderson. I love him from the Brewers. Len Casper. All good guys. And I'm sure I'm leaving out a number of my friends, so I apologize.
One person you would love to interview?
Barack Obama.
Oh, all right. Yeah, definitely. And last one is, this is a very popular one in recent years. Should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame?
I would say no, simply because he broke the cardinal rule. And it's tough because obviously now with players who have used performance-enhancing drugs getting in and getting strong consideration, you can make the case, well, why is Rose so different? But I just feel he knew that rule. Everybody knew that rule. He broke it, lied about it, then said he was good with it. I'm not so comfortable with it.
Okay. And before I wrap up the interview, in the last year, you joined The Athletic. And, of course, I'm a subscriber. I read it almost every single day. I love The Athletic. So where can MLB fans, NFL fans, sports fans in general go and read The Athletic? And where can they read your articles on The Athletic?
Well, all they have to do is go to theathletic.com, and there are ways to sign up for a subscription. And it does cost money. There's no question about it. There is a student discount. And we realize that because most of the information on the internet is for free, that some people are not going to be in love with the idea. What I will say in response is what we do is different. And just give us a week trial. There's a free trial for 1 week if you want to see. And if you determine then that we're not different, don't subscribe. But if you do think we're different, then maybe give us a shot.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite part about writing for The Athletic?
That's a good question, Alex. I would say freedom. Mm-hmm. And really the biggest thing for me has become the fact that I now have a lot of teammates. Mm-hmm. And in my previous jobs, I had John Morosi at Fox for a while, but not the whole time I was there. And it's a lot easier when you have people to bounce things off of, to work with on stories together. That to me is a real big positive, huge positive.
Definitely. Ken, last question before we wrap up this interview. If someone walked up to you today and they said they wanted to be a sports reporter or a sports broadcaster, what advice would you give them?
Oh, boy. This is really difficult because the business is very tough to break into, especially right now. My advice, first of all, would be to pick one. I don't know that you can follow a path where you're trying to be both a television person and a print person. At the same time, you're probably going to need to do both at some point in your career. So I would try to latch on somewhere, anywhere, and get experience. And you've got to work hard. And you've got to understand also that it's about journalism. It's not about rooting for your favorite team. And it's about quality reporting and quality writing. Mm-hmm. And I know it sounds high and mighty to say that. It's kind of a little weird for you to say that. But a lot of times I'll hear from young people and they'll say, well, I'm really a big fan. I know everything about sports. Lots of people do. That's not what this is about.
Definitely. Well, Ken, I want to say thank you again for joining me on my show. And where can the Fuse Nation follow you all over social media and read your articles?
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you again for coming on.
Sure, man.
All right, Fuse Nation, you just heard it from Ken Rosenthal, sideline reporter for Fox Sports, senior baseball writer for TheAthletic.com, and MLB Network contributor. You just heard it from Ken Rosenthal. He's one of the best in the business. We talked about the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Astros, Athletics, possibly the Red Sox troubles against the Yankees in the playoffs. We'll see what happens. You never know. You never know. All right, Fuse Nation, thanks again for listening. I'll be back here live tomorrow with Jeff Pearlman, talk about his new book, Football for a Buck. All right, Fuse Nation, thanks again for listening. Follow me on Twitter @AlexFuse, and I will be seeing you tomorrow. Thanks for listening.